There were a lot of VHS tapes in Chapter 4, and just seeing them in the game can be a little confusing. So I'm going to be going over every tape in two phases: tapes made before the Hour of Joy and the tapes made after. I'll play the tape and then explain what's actually going on in each one, giving you a better understanding to the story of Poppy playtime. So with all that being said, enjoy every single VHS tape in Chapter 4 Explained, 93 Theater Incident.
Got another one over here.
Jeez. Hard to imagine how the company will duck all this under their rock.
Not our problem.
3 here.
How many is that now?
58. So far.
Another one over here.
59.
Where's that investigator? Campbell... Lockhart? Whatever his name is.
Poking around somewhere? Don't know. You ask me? The culprit's obvious. Just needs to be spelled out plain and clear for the bigwigs.
You think?
Yeah. Rotten eggs come from rotten chickens, you know? Can't get more rotten a chicken than him.
I don't know. Just seems too careless that a guy so smart would uncover his... I mean, if the investigator finds evidence of this being his fault.
Hope Foxy's still hungry.
Got another.
60.
Right. And are we just stopping the experiments back where they came from? Acting like all this didn't happen. All over the ice? Because I guarantee it won't be so easy to toss a new coat of paint over 60 visitors dead. Or the dozen reconstruction specialists who got swimming in the bellies of those things.
I'm sure that's taken care of already. But I hear there's plans. Something big. Somewhere to put them. With any luck, that means stuff like this, and people like him, will be a thing of the past.
There's more over here.
We don't know too much about the theater incident. However, we do know who was responsible, who was none other than Dr. Harley Sawyer. In another tape, we hear a meeting between Leith, Stella, and Eddie, where they say that Harley has to go. He's caused too much trouble for the company, including Huggy escaping the factory, Catnap killing several employees, Rowan Stoll finding out too much about the company, which then led him to being killed, and finally the theater incident. Leith describes the theater incident as being so bad that it pales in comparison to the rest, and we know 11 people were either killed or went missing in the Huggy incident, which means the theater incident was a big event. And in its tape, we hear that at least 70 people were killed, because we hear several employees counting and cleaning up the bodies. But in their conversation, we hear something so subtle but yet so huge at the exact same time. While the specialists are talking about the bodies, they mention that Lockhart is investigating who was responsible, but then they also say it's obvious who it really is. And while we can't say for sure it's Sawyer yet, the other specialist has doubts about who it is. He says it's hard to believe a guy as smart as him wouldn't cover his tracks. And although they don't say what actually happened during the incident, because we know Sawyer was responsible and many people were all killed probably in rapid succession, we can safely assume one of Sawyer's experiments was either let loose or they thought it was safe to show to the public, which is when the toy went on a murderous rampage, probably killing almost everyone in the theater. But we don't just have to go off of this. In a recording we get all the way back in the Chapter 4 ARG, we hear a conversation between Leith, Stella, and Eddie, which sounds just like the actual tape in game. But in the recording, Leith is furious and says he's going to kill whoever was responsible for the incident, which is when Lockhart walks in and pins the blame on Harley Sawyer.
We need to... If you like having your job shared, beat it! We're busy!
It's me.
Oh, step on in, Mr. Lockhart. What half-wit soon-to-be dead man made this mistake.
Dr. Harley Sawyer.
And so, from this, it's pretty clear that we were referring to the theater incident, especially since the recording was released alongside more information about Chapter 4. But it doesn't end here, because in the next tape, we hear another meeting between the three, where they decide what to do with Sawyer, the doctor.
This recklessness has to stop. The doctor has no regard for the safety of this facility or its staff.
Or the children in play care. I've tried to set boundaries with him. He doesn't listen to me.
He doesn't listen to any of us. Not really. Not anymore. And he's behind schedule. Playtime may have turned a corner financially, but that doesn't change the fact that his bigger bodies initiative is still a money hole.
The guy's gotta go, Lath.
And how do you suggest we do that?
This wouldn't be the first time we made someone disappear.
We can't kill him, Eddie.
Why not?
Because like it or not, we need him.
Eddie's right, though. Sawyer can't keep leading this project.
So we just ask him to step down? Take a demotion?
No, but...
I'm not disagreeing. Huggy loose in the woods, that business with Catnap, the whole Stoll thing.
And half a dozen other incidents.
Right. And all of that pales in comparison to the theater incident.
I don't even want to talk about that.
So, we can't kill, but we need to knock him out of the equation. What do we do?
There is one thing I can think of.
In this tape, we hear Leith, Eddie, and Stella all talking to each other about Sawyer's recklessness and pride blinding him to all outside opinion, to the point where he won't listen to anyone else, and he thinks that he's right 100% of the time. And although he is incredibly smart, this would end up being his biggest downfall. In the tape, we immediately hear Eddie wants to kill him, but Leith quickly shuts him down, saying that although Sawyer is out of control, they still need him. And so, in the end of the tape, Leith says he can think of one thing they can do with Sawyer. And because this tape is shown in the beginning of the game, new players who didn't see the ARG are only really seeing some foreshadowing, rather than the full picture, which we see later in the game, with Sawyer's organs being held in multiple containers. But thankfully, this tape isn't the last we hear of Sawyer before seeing him in the game, as in another tape we see exactly what happened to him. Experiment 1354.
Oh, it looks like he's waking up.
Where am I? What is this? Oh no. They didn't. Those backstabbing traitors.
Dr. Sawyer, can you hear me?
White? White, is that you? Who else is in there with you? You enjoy watching me rise like one of them? My head feels like it's split in two. This is wrong. You must have done something wrong.
Some disorientation is to be expected.
Who gave you the order? You spineless cowards. After all I've done for this project, for this company.
I gave the order, Sawyer.
Peer. Of course it'd be you. You have no idea what kind of mistake you just made.
Really? From where I'm sitting, you're the one who keeps making mistakes that need fixing. We gave you so many opportunities to clean up your own messes, but you just couldn't do it, could you?
What? You think you can do better? Nobody else can do what I do. You need my knowledge, my intellect.
Why do you think you're sitting in there right now and not in Boxy's stomach? let me tell you how this is gonna go, Sawyer. From now on, you're here to give the lab boys answers when they need them, and carry out procedures when and how we tell you to. That's it. You'll be an open book to us whenever we want. So fight, or give in, or whatever, because either way, we own the infrastructure you're wired into.
You'll die for this, Leaf. When I get my hands on you, you're a dead man!
His temper is a bad look for you, Harley.
In this tape, we hear three people, Dr. White, Harley Sawyer, and Leith Pierre, but the tape's name being Experiment 1354 is probably the most crucial part, because Sawyer was turned into Experiment 1354, and although he doesn't have a body like Huggy or Catnap, it seems that Olly didn't have a body either, and I'm talking about the real Olly, not the prototype. We hear Sawyer waking up, and he's in a lot of pain with a massive headache and doesn't know where he is. But then when Dr. White starts talking, this confuses Sawyer, likely because they used to work together closely. And Sawyer asks who gave the order, which is when Leith cuts in and tells Sawyer it was him. He tells Sawyer that he's now essentially Playtime Co.'s slave, and that he holds his life in the palm of his hand. But if you listen closely, Leith actually mimics what Sawyer said to the prototype some years ago.
And I get closer with each session. So speak, or don't. Fight, or give in. Regardless, I learn something new about you every day.
So fight, or give in, or whatever, because either way, we own the infrastructure you're wired into.
While this could just be a coincidence, knowing Mob's attention to detail, this can safely be assumed as Leith trying to get back at Sawyer due to all the stress and problems he's caused for the company. However, his problems didn't just end with incidents like Huggy escaping or what happened in the theater. We actually hear a lot more about how he treated others, and more importantly, how he saw them. The radio.
What's a dozen children? 1,000? Next to this. What would they have been otherwise? Another drooling automaton out in the world, blindly accepting the offerings of better men? I gave them purpose. I made their lives matter.
This one is extremely short, and although it's not an actual VHS tape, it does give us more insights to Sawyer's character. He viewed the children at Playcare as mere experiments, useless automatons who would do nothing other than be subordinate to other men as mindless robots. He says that he gave their lives meaning, that many other children will be saved due to Sawyer's efforts, which shows just how twisted he and everyone else at Playtime Co. really is. Because remember, Leith isn't innocent in comparison to Sawyer. Harley wasn't turned into an experiment because of his morals, but because he was too reckless with what he was doing, which led to Leith containing him. 1322 report, Kevin.
After a brief interruption, we've successfully extracted subject 1322, specifically 1322B from the home sweet home. Before said interruption, I attempted to detail the subject's condition and overview the suitability of one Kevin Barnes in relation to Project Doey. The neural abnormalities noted in Dr. Newman's report are detailed in connection to behavioral issues demonstrated within Playcare. Trouble getting along with others, aggressive and often confrontational social tendencies, and an otherwise combative nature clearly relay that Kevin is, put simply, a problem child. What friends he does have, he's reported to have attacked in moments of intense play. These tendencies raise concerns. The subject excels in all physical tests, Reflexes, reaction time, and mental fortitude all tested well above average in game station examinations. So, in spite of said concerns, in Dr. Sawyer's eyes, Kevin is ideal for the project. However, if his use in this particular experiment is to move forward, we need to ensure we're not creating a time bomb just as we've begun stabilizing the entire project. If we're to create an experiment that can fulfill multiple assigned roles, we can't allow any single consciousness to throw the others off. Even a simple misregulation of emotions means we have 900 pounds of dough that can shift however it pleases and can turn on even those it trusts, simply because it was overwhelmed by a stray feeling. Regardless, Sawyer's word is law, and subjects 1322A and C are to be gathered for processing first thing tomorrow morning. Thus, all we can do is plan our safeguards accordingly. Yes, that's all we can do.
In this tape, we hear about Doey's problem child, Kevin, but we also hear the last little bits of information we get of Harley Sawyer before the Hour of Joy. If you didn't know, the scientist we hear has appeared in every chapter so far. In chapter 1, we hear him in the final VHS tape, where he supposedly dies during the Hour of Joy. In chapter 2, he details an event where the prototype almost escaped containment. And in chapter 3, we hear another tape about Doey, where he says that they successfully extracted Kevin from Home Sweet Home. But before he could finish, one of Kevin's friends interrupts him, asking what they're going to do to him. However, he just lies to the kid and gets him back to bed. And the reason that's important is because the chapter 4 tape is obviously before the chapter 1 tape, but mere minutes after the chapter 3 tape. He apologizes for the brief interruption and that he was trying to detail the subject's condition, most likely meaning he's referring to Kevin's friend interrupting him trying to go over Kevin's condition the first time. But now with no more interruptions, he goes over Kevin's issues. He says that Kevin is a problem child, as he doesn't really get along with others and even gets aggressive at times. So if you put someone who's uncooperative and aggressive inside a giant ball of dough that can kill my man Pianosaurus in seconds, you are literally asking for the Hour of Joy. Bro, you're begging for it. And although we don't see Doey in the Hour of Joy, we do see that these neural abnormalities do cause problems, as when Doey sees the destruction of Safe Haven, he immediately starts accusing us, and all 3 of the Doey children are fighting for control over Doey. Jack, the youngest of the 3, is crying, saying that we killed his friends. Kevin is accusing us angrily and saying it's all our fault. However, Matthew, who seems to be the oldest and most mature, is trying to tell them it wasn't our fault. But with 2 of the 3 kids putting the blame on us, this most likely led to the transformation we see right before he tries to kill us. And so when the scientist says that Kevin is too much of an unpredictability, he was not wrong, and we really should have listened to the tapes more carefully. But the last thing about this tape is that although he disagrees with Kevin being a part of Project Doey, he's forced to go through with it anyway, as he says Sawyer's word is law, showing that Sawyer was more focused on Kevin's extremely high performance in game station tests, rather than his personality or downfalls in other areas, showing that Harley and Kevin probably weren't that different from each other. Both of them weren't that social and didn't care about others. Maybe that's why Harley liked him. Break time.
Hey, Cole.
Hey, Norm.
2 o'clock, huh? Best time of the day.
Yeah.
So, what block are you again?
North.
Can't say I hear much about that one.
You wouldn't.
High security?
Highest security.
Cushy. No, we get in the east. Toys banging on the walls, crying for their parents. Their
counselors, whatever. It goes all day and night, and it just wears on you, you know? I'd kill for a little security. And quiet. Right. Know what we get in the North? Things. Whatever they aren't people anymore. Their cells might as well be cages. They are animals. Sick. Twisted. Just instincts and anger. That's all that's left of them. Sure, but at least then it's not like yelling at your own kids for them to be quiet, though, you know? I mean, if you had to listen to them... Oh, great. So much for our 2 o'clock. Yeah, we really do have it rough, don't we?
In this tape, we hear such a casual conversation between 2 employees, you would think that nothing important could be said here. But listen very closely and you'll see just how bad Playtime Co. really was. Not for just the toys, but the employees too. We hear 2 people talking to each other, Cole and Norm, and due to the name of the tape being break time and Norm saying that 2 o'clock is the best time of the day, they're most likely in some sort of break room taking their lunch. They seem to be familiar with each other, but not necessarily friends, as Norm asks what block Cole works in, showing that they probably haven't talked much and work in separate departments. They're just casual work friends going over what they find to be hard about their jobs. Cole says he works in the North Block while Norm works in the East, and although you might think they're the same kind of job, Norm and Cole describe very different experiences. Cole says that the North Block has the highest security and that Norm wouldn't know anything about it, maybe suggesting that Playtime was keeping their higher profile toys there, such as the prototype. Norm says that the East Block has constant banging on the walls while they cry for their parents, showing that the toys there are still somewhat human. However, Cole describes a completely different story. He says that the toys are more animalistic and there isn't any humanity left in them, which really sounds like the nightmare critters, as they don't ever talk and only seem to attack us. But it doesn't take long until we hear what seems to be one of the prison trains passing by, with screaming children banging on the walls, showing their desperate behavior, which is when Cole says, "So much for our 2 o'clock." All of this just shows that Playtime Co.'s employees, or at least the ones who worked in the prison, had it extremely rough. They either had to listen to constant screams of kids asking for their parents, or animalistic toys who seem to have lost all human reason. Construction plans, the shelf.
Long way down. So, this is what we have to work with. Do you believe it's doable? Sure, yeah. It's doable.
Good. Remember, our timetable here is tight. If there's anything you need from me, do not hesitate.
Actually, I've got something I want to talk to you about. It's important.
I'm listening.
My company. We've built a lot for you over the years, and believe me, we've always been accommodating. We just did the work you paid us to do.
And your point here is?
I don't like what I'm supposed to be building here. Look, the game station, whatever. It'll be fun for the kids. Underground production plants. Sure, maximize production. Makes a kind of sense, as much as any of us, I suppose. But this, what in the world would a toy company need with a prison? When my people were building Playcare, all Mr. Ludwig could talk about was how much good it could do. And all you needed was a look at the man to know he believed every word of it. I need to hear that this is still the same company. If If we're gonna make this thing for you, then I need that assurance. It's a game. Something for the kids. Anything. Mr. Ritterman?
Let me give you a bit of history, friend. In 1972, you signed a contract, a legally binding piece of paper that says whatever is asked of you, you do it. We asked. You did. In 1990, you signed another, a renewal. In it, had you bothered at all to read it, you'd have found a small clause. Any and all directives will be accomplished in the appropriate time and with appropriate compensation should the project be completed to satisfaction. Your name rests at the bottom of that document, and I remember because it was the ugliest bit of cursive I've ever seen. So now you do the work, because we've given you a directive.
Mr. Ritterman, we're near the...
Yes. Yes, we are. All of us are. On a ledge. Great things are coming. Great things that will someday make a lot of people very happy. But to do so, to make that dream real, we need this. Otherwise, there's a place we're all for. Together. I'm a businessman, Mr. Silver, and I don't like get angry. I get paid to see that things get done. And this, like everything else, will get done.
The shelf, or also known to us as the prison, was created by a company known as Warnbach Construction, and in the tape, we hear a conversation between Eddie Ritterman and someone who seems to be a higher up at Warnbach Construction named Mr. Silva, and they're talking about plans for building a prison while they're in some sort of underground cave. But Silva's at a bit of a crossroads. On one hand, he's being paid a buttload of money to build this, but to build a prison for a toy company even after some already questionable builds, he has doubts and asks for some kind of explanation from Eddie, probably so he can sleep at night. But knowing Playtime Co. and their practices, Eddie has no explanation and instead threatens to push him off a cliff. He brings up the contract Silva signed with Playtime Co., stating that they will do any and all things asked of them to Playtime standards. But then, as they get closer to the ledge, Silva starts breathing heavy, and that's when Eddie talks about falling while they're right next to the ledge. Not only is he threatening this dude with falling off, but because Eddie said the word together, I would not be surprised if Eddie was crazy enough to go down with him. Stella Graber Project Audit.
So, Ms. Graber, have you considered what we talked about?
Yes, Mr. Pierre. I won't lie. I was at a loss for words at first. The information hit me pretty hard. I felt so badly. I still do. For the ones that go through the, testing.
You really care about them?
Yes. It hurts to see them hurt. I don't think there's any way around that feeling. But I did some soul searching and got to thinking about the bigger picture, about what your researchers wrote.
And?
Well, the work itself, what you've all been able to do, I mean, it's nothing short of a miracle. I know you have more goals to hit, but even as is, just, wow. Do they know when it'll be fully ready?
We're still working out the timeline.
I see.
You know, the project lead, Dr. Sawyer, wasn't sure about giving you that information in the first place. He thinks your affection towards those kids could be a liability. What do you think about that?
I took this job because I wanted to help change kids' lives for the better. Of course, these procedures are far from ideal. I cried like a baby when I read them. But I started looking past the here and now. Started looking down the road a bit. And that's when it clicked. What your researchers can do down here will someday help a lot of people out there, including so many kids. That's a bigger and better change than I could ever have hoped to make. That's a change I want to help make.
I knew you'd understand.
We first see Stella in a chapter 1 tape where she's being interviewed, and we already see that something's a little bit off about her. But as the chapters went by, it seems she climbed up the ranks at Playtime Co. And here, it looks like she's just been given executive access, but not without Leith first making sure that they're on the same page. It seems that she just found about what they're doing with the orphans at Playcare, how they're testing them at the game station, and whoever's the most suitable for their next project is extracted from Home Sweet Home and finally turned into either a bigger body like Huggy and Kissy or a regular sized toy like the Smiling Critters. And by the way Leith is speaking here, it seems that Sawyer had his doubts about letting Stella know about the experiments, but Leith probably convinced him, saying if Stella is going to be the head of Playcare, it would be even easier for them to extract the children from Home Sweet Home if Stella helps them. So it seems Leith let her in on what was happening, and Stella had to take some time to think about it. However, it really sounds like he's subtly manipulating her to go along with their plans with positive reinforcement, which is basically when someone does something you want and you compliment them or give them a boost in pay kind of thing. And since Stella is now agreeing to have kids tested and experimented on for the greater good, it leads me to believe that she's either a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or Leith did a fantastic job at framing this for her. But it really seems like a little bit of both, to be honest. Management rich.
That you, kid?
Yeah, it's me.
Don't lurk out there. It's weird. Just come on in. Being early isn't a crime. You know why I asked you here, right?
Why are we doing this dance again, boss?
Because you were reported. And all reports from my people come back to me. Look, I'm not here to place blame. Just tell me your side of this. So, what happened?
This guy, Rod, he works the line. One of those twitchy mooks with the side eye. And this guy, Rod, he saw me drop a box he and his boys filled. Kind of irked him. I think he was joking, that's probably how he meant it, but he dropped some line about me disappearing. Him and the other guys laughed. I was having a bad day, so I yelled at him a bit. About him, about the company, about everything, really.
And where were you when this happened?
The factory floor.
Oh, great.
Look, I don't mean to keep causing you trouble, Rich. You're good to me, to all of us. But the company isn't good to you, or to Rod, or me, or to anyone. Leith says playtime is better than ever, but profits aren't people. And the profit margins betray just how on edge everyone is. Anywhere else, I'd have probably liked Rod. But because he said it like that, and with all the rumors, I just don't know if I can take it anymore. And it feels wrong that no one said anything as loud as they should.
Look, I get it. This company is far from angelic. Trust me, I know that. And you shouldn't ignore it. But there are smarter ways to go about what you did.
I know. I'm sorry.
Hey, no matter what the executives say, no matter the looks you get, just know that I've got your back, kid. Shipping is a family. We look out for each other. That's the way it is now. So don't fight, don't shout. Just come talk to me from now on, okay? I don't want another report on my desk like this one. I fight for you. All of you. And I'm in a position where I can do so.
Thanks, Rich. It's good to know not everyone here is terrible to us.
Not everyone, kid. Not everyone.
Rich has been in every single chapter in the game with his own VHS tape showing his progression in the company. In chapter 1, he was complaining to one of his coworkers, Avery, and in chapter 2, we see that he was demoted because of his complaints. But in chapter 3, we see while he's on his way down to Playcare, a man who he calls Stu offered him his position since he's retiring, which leads us to chapter 4, where we actually get to see Rich now in a manager position in Playtime Co. And the angry version of Rich we see in the first 2 tapes took a complete 180. In the tape, we hear Rich and one of the employees under him having a meeting about something that happened at work. The kid was reported and now Rich has to take care of it. But Rich isn't the kind of boss to try and get things done as fast as possible, but he takes the time to hear his side of the story to see what really happened. The kid says he was having a bad day and some of the other employees pushed his buttons just a little too much, making him yell at them and even complain about the company, which ended up getting him reported and now they're here. The kid's frustrated with how the company is so shady while at the same time no one talks about it, probably feeling like he's the only one in the company who sees what's really going on. But since Rich used to do the exact same thing, he tries to calm him down and it ends up working. Because of how Rich handled the situation, he's probably just gonna let it go and keep it pushing. But my favorite part about this whole tape is that in the end, when Rich says not everyone, it's a callback to the chapter 3 tape where Stu tells him the exact same thing.
I'm just glad to see not everyone in this place has it out for me.
Not everybody, Rich. Not everybody.
It's good to know not everyone here is terrible to us.
Not everyone, kid. Not everyone.
Overall, we can see just how much Rich has grown as a person, going from very upset and angry almost all of the time to becoming pretty much the exact opposite and even helping the kid who was going through the exact same things he did. Flare hand safety video. There is literally nothing to explain for this tape. If you've seen it, you probably know exactly what it is. Olly.
Than what they've already done.
Something's bothering you, Poppy. Something you need to talk about?
I don't need anything tonight. Olly, I just want to sleep.
I think there's more to this. More that you're not telling me.
There's not.
I know what you're doing, Poppy. Talking like that. Don't think for a second that I believe it. Just tell me what you're feeling. Please, just talk to me honestly.
Talk? Talk? You want me to talk?
Yes, I...
Who talking to, huh? We'll talk talking to you. Make them stop.
No,
I'm scared, Ollie. Is that what you want to hear? I'm scared, and I'm angry, and I really don't know what to do. The bad men don't say what they want. They don't listen. They don't care how much anything hurts. It's been weeks and weeks of taking things out and putting them back in, and taking things out and putting them back in. Over and over and over. Nothing's ever gotten better, and it'll never get better. But you know what scares me more than anything, Ollie? It scares me that every time they do it, every time they peel me open, I feel it less. I hate them. And I hate him. And I hate... I'm nothing now, Ollie. No one. I'm a thing. And nothing they can do to me hurts more than that.
you're not nothing to me. You're Poppy. And talking with you like this, I know it doesn't make any of what they do right. It can't. But it makes me feel like a piece of me is still here. No matter how small they try to make it. Next to all that, next to whatever they do, it means everything. I'm here, Poppy. For you, I'll always be here.
This has got to be one of the craziest tapes in the entire game. We hear Olly call Poppy while she's crying, and he really pushes her to open up about her problems. And once she finally does, Poppy tells him that as Playtime continues to experiment on her over and over again, she feels it less and less every time they cut her open. She feels as if she's losing her identity and becoming a thing. But Olly tries his best to comfort her, and he tells her that he'll be there for her no matter what. But please pay attention to the exact wording. Olly says, "I'm here, Poppy. For you, I'll always be here." Because the tape on its own really just shows that Poppy was going through some serious struggles back when Playtime Co. was up and running. But it gets so much deeper with just one more voice line. Once we're in the ventilation block after killing Doey, Poppy is trying to call Olly, but when he answers, he reveals that he's actually the prototype. And I want you to listen very closely to what he says.
You... What did you do with Olly?
I'm right here, Poppy. For you, I'll always be here.
We can see that not only was Poppy struggling in the tape, but the prototype was manipulating her the entire time. He was pretending to be there for her, just so that she would eventually trust him. And since we hear in chapter 3 that she found us because Olly told her where we were while also frantically trying to call him in chapter 4, it shows that the prototype was successfully able to manipulate her into full reliance on him. And it worked perfectly, as it allowed him to take the bombs from the Foundation and use them against us. This dude had us in both halves, bro, not gonna lie. Doey the Dough Man commercial.
Doey the Dough Man!
He's stretch you, he's gum you, he's squish you, he's fun you. D-O-E-Y. He's silly, he's goo you, he's sticky, he's glue you. D-O-E-Y.
Look at all the colors.
So many toys and one. Triple tap the friend and triple tap the fun. D-O-E-Y. Love it till the day that you die.
Call the number on screen and order your Doey today. Order now while supplies last. Shipping and handling costs may vary. Do not ingest or deliver any products in the video box.
What's the top? This one! I don't know, open this one! I knew it! This is the one I wanted!
card too, dear. Open the card.
We're going to the Playtime Factory?
That's right, honey. Jack, don't wander off. Stay right here with us. He's not listening to a thing I say, is he?
Not even a little bit.
In the very beginning of the game, we're introduced to Doey through the form of a commercial showing Jack Ayers' backstory. In the commercial, we see that Doey was the mascot for Playtime Co.'s Doey Doe. However, in the theme song, when the lyrics say, "Fun until the day you die," immediately the camera cuts to machinery in the Playtime Co. factory. Then the tape cuts to a boy whose name was Jack Ayers. And I say was because he's not a little boy anymore. We see him opening up a Doey the Doe Man figurine, and immediately he's excited and almost screaming because his parents got him one of his favorite toys. But his mom tells him to open a card, which was an invitation for what seems to be a factory tour. The tape then glitches again, showing Doey the Doe Man's face for a split second, but then it cuts to some kind of tour in a room where they make their Doey Doe. But Jack is just a little too far away from the rest of the crowd, and when his mom tells him not to wander off, he just straight up ignores her. But what's interesting is that when Jack is looking down at the machinery, he ends up quickly taking a look up at the ceiling as if something's there, and not too long after, he's hanging off the edge of the rail and falls into the dough, presumably injuring or even killing him. But there's no way a kid his age would think to just jump in there. If that was me, bro, I would treat the rail like COVID. 6 feet at least. I'm not getting nowhere near you, bro. And unless Jack's a literal Olympian, there is no way he got over that rail that fast. Which makes me think, what was he looking up at? 1322 report, Jack.
Sir, ma'am, I ask that you remain calm whenever you interact with the patient. He's only been awake a few days now. In many respects, he's still adjusting.
Is that him? Is that my boy?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Oh, George! That's our boy! Jackie!
Why does he look like that? What did you do to him?
Stop it, George. Just stop. That's our son in there. Our son!
Dear, look at it. That's not even human.
Let's just talk to him. You'll see. Let's just go in there and talk to him. Can we? Can we talk to him?
Yes, ma'am, you certainly can. Go on in, whenever you're ready.
Jack, I want you to know, I'm so sorry. I've never forgiven myself for what happened. I played it all back 1,000,000 times in my head, and I know there had to be something I could have done. I could have reached just a little further. I could have noticed a little sooner. I could have. But we have you back now. That's what's important. We can...
Who are you?
Jack? Honey, it's me. It's Mommy.
Mommy?
Yes. Yes! It's Mommy and Daddy. You remember, don't you?
Leave me alone.
Hey, you'll be okay, I promise. Mommy's only here to talk.
No.
No, I don't want to talk! Get out!
Susan, I think we should leave.
Jackie, I'm staying right here. I'm not leaving you. Not ever again. Do you hear me?
The gentle voices lie. I know what they do. They lie, and they poke, and they hurt! Susan, get away from me!
Jack? Mommy won't lie to you, Jackie. Mommy won't hurt you. I'd never hurt you.
Hey! Hey! Open this door! Susan! Please! Open the door!
After the incident, Playtime Co. took Jack and 2 other boys from Playcare and combined them into Experiment 1322, also known as Doey. But just days after waking up, they for some reason let Jack's parents come to see him, which is already a huge red flag. Throughout Playtime's experiments, there's an adjustment period for each toy. Once it wakes up, it has an extreme desire for violence where they can't be controlled. During Catnap's adjustment period, he went on a killing spree, killing 6 different employees before they could stop him. So if you combine that with the fact that the scientists shut the door behind them, it leads me to believe that Playtime Co. wanted to kill both of them, which makes sense since getting rid of Jack's parents would prevent them from filing a lawsuit. And so the scientists let them inside probably at the peak of Doey's adjustment period. And because his mom was already emotional, it seems that Kevin took her as one of the gentle voices, killing them both in the process. A reminder.
I'm not sure if this thingy is on, but I need to talk, and I can't talk about this with anyone else. For the past few months, the fighting's been bad. Real bad. I've seen a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't. It's been hard to keep my head straight. The others, they look to me to know what to do, to know where to go. For a long while, we had Poppy to tell us, go here, go there, do this. And it all made sense, too. Poppy was nice. I can't find Poppy anywhere. I don't know what happened or where she went. But it's scary here without her. Maybe she ran, just like I have. I'm here, outside the prison, in front of... I'd almost forgotten it was all here. And seeing this again, it's given me reason to think. I could make for the exit. It's all I'd wanted for the longest time. But there are others inside. Others that aren't like me. They're hungry and scared like I am, but they're not me. They can't go where I can. But they mean a lot to me. A lot more than I thought they did. And having seen what I have, knowing how they see me, how much they need me. I'm going back. I wanted to make this in case I ever doubt or forget that. Just play this And remember. Yeah. Yeah. That's all. See ya.
After Doey's adjustment period, he took a complete 180 in terms of how he treats others. In the other tape, he immediately became violent, killing his parents. But here, we see that Doey is willing to sacrifice himself for the other toys in Safe Haven. In the tape, we hear that Poppy used to tell the toys in Safe Haven what to do, but one day, she just left, which explains why in Safe Haven, we see her on the wall with writing saying she left us, showing that after a while, they assumed that Poppy abandoned them. And because of this, it makes so much more sense seeing Doey's reaction to Poppy when we first make it into Safe Haven. Doey legit sounded like he saw a ghost, but even though Poppy was gone for a long time, it seems Doey stepped up to the plate and leading the toys the best he could. But after things got worse, Doey made a run for the exit, making it just outside of the prison. But Doey had a change of heart, or more specifically, it sounds like Matthew did. Because of his serious and deeper voice, it's likely that Matthew's loving and protecting personality took over Doey, convincing himself to stay and help the others. And because he's recording this for later, it seems he's been having this conflict for a while, trying to figure out whether it's better to leave and save himself or try to stay behind and protect the others. But because we see him in chapter 4, we know he stayed back with the toys, which might have been the only reason the prototype didn't kill them, as when Safe Haven blew up, it seemed to be because the prototype figured out how to trick Doey into leaving Safe Haven. Cause if Doey can turn Pianosaurus into dinosaur steak, he can definitely put up a fight against the prototype. Security feed, February 1st, 2001.
I need some help here!
Hey, watch the door! Watch the door!
Right here, on the mattress.
There you go, bud. You're okay.
Okay! Look at me! I'm a mess! Poppy? What's going on?
We were trying to bring supplies back up to the elevator, but we got jumped. Had to turn all the way back around. They took everything we had, right after one of them bit my leg!
How is he, Doc?
Not too bad. He'll live.
See?
Keep it clean. Could get infected otherwise.
So, what do we do now?
For starters, you two stay here tonight. Let things settle down outside. I'll find more food for you to bring up to play care. When you're ready.
Thanks, Doey. Sorry we lost the supplies. It won't happen again.
The important thing is you're both okay. Aside from that bite, that is. Hey, Doc, let me grab some wound cream for our pal here.
Here, we see an incident where a group of toys went to go get supplies for Safe Haven. However, it went horribly wrong, and one of the toys is groaning out in extreme pain. But what's interesting is that Doey says he'll try and help them get food to bring up to play care. In chapter 4, it seemed as if they were living in Safe Haven because of the prototype's presence in the factory. But if they're bringing food to play care, it makes me wonder if they were also living in Home Sweet Home for a time. But if we're ever gonna figure that out, it'll probably be in chapter 5. And for now, we need to focus on two things: when the tape was recorded and the fact that Hoppy is still alive. The tape was recorded all the way back in 2001, 4 years before we arrived and 6 years after the Hour of Joy. But the factory hasn't changed a bit. The toy mentions it was bit by something, and by the way he says it, it was most likely a nightmare critter, possibly even a Maggie Mako. But what blows my mind the most is that Hoppy is still alive, because in chapter 3, when we find Dog Day tied up and barely hanging on, he tells us that he was the last of the smiling critters. And although he doesn't say that the prototype killed the rest, because Dog Day was killed for disobedience to the prototype, Hoppy was most likely killed for the exact same reason. But because we know Poppy was living in Safe Haven or play care with Doey and the rest of the toys. Are you kidding me? Yeah, we're gonna leave that in. I don't even care. It's possible that Dog Day was also with them for a time, and the prototype picked them off one by one until only Catnap was left. And even then, the prototype still killed him. Warden Office, August 8th, 1995.
What's going on? What's happening? It's...
Yes, I can hear it. They've staged quite the rebellion. Remarkable. 1006.
How could this happen? There's fail-safes, security measures. It's impossible.
Personal agendas have long been the downfall of this company. Is it unreasonable to believe there were conspirators? Playtime is filled with vipers and backstabbers.
But without executive access, how could anyone even get through? Laith, Stella, Eddie, only the four of us have that kind of clearance.
Does any of that matter now? It's your life we have to protect. You have executive access.
For all the good it does me, opening a door at a time won't get me to the exit. Not with those things everywhere. You didn't see what I saw. You didn't see the trail of limbs down the hall. Didn't hear the things eating. The wet crunches of bones.
There is something you can do, Warden. I can help you.
How? You're stuck in there. You can't...
My body's here. Sure. But my mind...
What?
The Omni Hand. If you give it to me, I can get you anywhere. I'll have control over everything. I can shut some doors, open others. I can make you a pathway that leads right to the exit.
I don't know.
If you want to wait to get torn to pieces, that's your prerogative. But we'll get you immediate options, Warden. What choice other than this gets you out of here alive?
I'm giving you the tool. Just get me out of here. Please.
Of course. You've made a smart decision, Warden. I promise I'll get you out of here safe and sound.
At this point in the game, we just made it out of the prison train and we haven't even been playing for 30 minutes yet. But in the tape, we hear the warden barely making it into a room and shutting the door behind him. But the thing is, he immediately starts talking to Sawyer, which is weird, because does that mean Sawyer was just chilling in the room? He's not really the easiest dude to move around. So in my opinion, it could be that since the warden was a higher up at Playtime Co. and he was working so closely with the experiments, he would have the ability to talk to Sawyer in his office anytime he needed. So in the middle of the chaos, he immediately went to Sawyer for help. But this tape isn't just foreshadowing Sawyer. We also hear a little bit more as to why the Hour of Joy first started, and Harley Sawyer might have even been the one who started it all. The warden wasn't just scared, but confused as to how the toys were even able to do this. And since he's head over the prison, he would know exactly how the toys are kept secure and locked away. But instead of Sawyer also wondering what happened, he quickly brushes him off and convinces him to give him the Omni Hand, saying that he can help the warden escape by opening doors and closing others, essentially creating a safe bubble around him as he tries to leave the factory. And although he gives it to him, we know that Sawyer probably led this dude headed straight to Boxy. But because Harley quickly brushed him off, and he's not even the slightest bit worried in his tone of voice, he probably had something to do with this. And knowing Sawyer, his first thoughts wouldn't be how he could help the warden, but instead how he could save himself. Meaning that Sawyer asking for the Omni Hand is because he planned for this to happen, and he knew the warden would be willing to give it to him under the right circumstances. Time.
Your suggestions?
To produce the results I'm after. Have I made an error in allowing your survival? Of course not. We just need more time to perfect the time. Time is precisely what we do not have. Then I suggest you find some more. That will give me labs access. At least with the two of us.
That is out of the question.
You will still want. Fine. But you have no staff, virtually no test subjects. It's hardly ideal conditions. Even when this place was fully operational, we were beating our heads against this. You can't expect to do it on your own so quickly. The situation necessitates it be done quickly. I'm just giving you the facts. And the fact is, we need more time, or this isn't going to work. I can only be reactive up here. Then of what use are you? You know I'm still your best shot at cracking that secret. If I weren't, you would have already killed me. A sound observation. Yes, you have made yourself useful. Provide me more options. I will try again. Of course.
But
If you are stalling, or worse, remember,
your usefulness
is the only reason you were not stripped for meat and spare parts.
This has gotta be one of the best tapes for theories out for the entire chapter. We hear the prototype and Sawyer arguing over some type of time constraints for something they're trying to finish. The prototype threatens Sawyer's life 3 times, showing that he's most likely the only reason that Sawyer survived the Hour of Joy. But the reason why he kept Sawyer alive isn't so obvious. We hear them talking about test subjects and doing something in the labs, which leads me to believe they're doing more experimenting and would be even more reason as to why Sawyer survived the Hour of Joy. He knew so much about the experiments that if the prototype wants to find the secrets thereafter, it's going to need Sawyer. But even though the prototype threatens his life multiple times, Sawyer isn't an idiot, because when it threatens Sawyer, asking of what use he is, Sawyer starts laughing, saying that it knows he's still its best shot at cracking the secret. But this also means that once they do crack the secret, Sawyer's gonna be dead in 0.2 seconds. And since he's one of the smartest people who worked at Playtime Co., he knows that. So it's possible he's asking for more time in order to stall and think of a plan. But what's a little scary is that since Sawyer died in chapter 4 and the prototype didn't even try to stop us, it might already have that secret. Untitled tape.
it was awful. So awful. I didn't want... This wasn't what I thought we were gonna leave. Leave the factory. Not this. All those people. Prototype says we can't leave. Not now, not ever. I hate him. I hate him, and I hate this place, and I hate that he's... right. He explained everything, and he's right. We can't leave. It's too risky. What they did to us, we can't ever let it happen to us or anyone ever again. Doesn't make me feel better about the bodies, though. What he was saying about them? I know there's not really another option. The toys will starve otherwise. They'll die. But it's still disgusting. I wish you were here, Dad. I could really use one of your talks right about now. You'd know what to say. When you were running this place, you always knew what to say. I miss you.
The Untitled tape is one of the craziest tapes we ever got. We hear that Poppy knew the hour of joy was coming, and she's somehow just having regular conversations with the prototype. Poppy knowing the hour of joy was coming isn't too big of a surprise, as Sawyer told us the same thing earlier when our hand was stuck to the scanner. But because Poppy is now talking with the prototype after the fact, and she's even agreeing with it, saying that they can't leave the factory, this raises so many red flags, bro. It is ridiculous. First of all, Poppy led us to believe that she was put in that case before the hour of joy, and she was stuck there the entire time, as she didn't mention a thing about coming out of that case. But if she's recording this tape after the hour of joy, she had to have been let out of the case, or maybe she was put in there after the hour of joy, because I don't know about you, but I ain't see no camcorder in that case. Then she says she knew the hour of joy was coming, but didn't expect it to be like this. She thought instead it would be this revolt to leave the factory. And lastly, she says the prototype is right. If they don't leave and instead stay in the factory, they won't be experimented on. But what's even crazier is that she's somehow just casually talking to the prototype as if he's any other toy. And when you combine this tape to the weird way the prototype was talking to Poppy in the ventilation block, it makes you think something fishy has definitely got to be going on here. But the last thing about this tape is that Poppy says she wished her dad were still here, and that when he used to run the place, he always knew what to say. The only person I can think of who used to run Playtime Co. is none other than Elliot Ludwig. And considering other small bits of info we get in the other chapters, it's safe to say that Poppy is Elliot Ludwig's daughter. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is every single VHS tape in chapter 4 of Poppy Playtime. But what do you guys think of these? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video right here.